What's going to start with Rick this time? Rick, so it's going to be you then.
Starting with you, Rick.
Sounds good.
In your opinion, what are the two biggest problems in Marysville, and what will you do to solve those problems?
I think we have deferred maintenance on, as we know, on our streets and our parks. And we have great potential that hasn't been focused on. And my goal is to focus on those assets that we have. I'll start with the deferred maintenance. The economy hit us really hard in 2008, and that and other things put us in a position in our budget where we had to cut constantly and reduce the level of services that we had in the city of Marysville. And you can see it directly on our streets and our passing Measure C. And I took great efforts and I took a lot of dedication ensuring that that was passed. With the assistance of the chamber and others who were supporting us from the beginning, I appreciate that. When it comes to economic development, focusing on B Street and 5th Street Boulevard, I hope I have more opportunity to talk about those two things, but those are primary areas that I want to focus on for the next 4 years. The arts, the medical arts district, and of course, the lake area.
Chris?
I think the two biggest problems in the city of Marysville is a perception of business unfriendly, and I think that's something we must work on immediately. There's also the policing, the community policing in our city is working, and we've added additional staff, and our roads are in terrible condition. So those are my three biggest opportunities. I'll be introducing legislation to make the city business friendly. Our roads and streets, we have multiple opportunities, funding sources that we can carry forward and get the roads fixed.
Chris, what do you think the city can do in the realm of manufacturing, service industries, etc.?
I think what we can build on what we have and retain, the way to do that is through my 21-day plan check program, which will get business and doors open immediately, and the fee deferral program I'm proposing that will allow businesses and homeowners to defer their fees for anywhere from 6 months to a year to try and stimulate the economy of Marysville.
Okay. Ricky?
Like I said, we've done a number of things the last few years in that effort. We reduced some of the zoning and developmental requirements in the medical arts district to promote investment in that area. We removed a lot of barriers from that district. I can do that. We want to promote what we're calling a pop-up program to incubate local businesses in collaboration with the work that you are doing here in the city of Marysville, finding ways that we can find new investors or new entrepreneurs, whether young or old or all between ages, who have an idea and want to create investment and see grants available with some of the assistance that the chamber is already working on.
This goes to Ricky first. Homelessness, as well as transient traffic, has been a growing issue for Marysville. The city and county have taken action in the past few months to clear out the river bottoms. Efforts are going on right now to clean out the Hollywood area. What do you see as the important related issues at this point? What are the logical next steps for the city, and what's the long-term strategy?
Who's it for? Me? Well, put a lot of effort into this. You're working with the different nonprofits and churches and city and county officials, and finding a way that we can collaborate and work at some regional level. And that's the only way we're going to be able to manage some of the issues that you spoke about. We have to have not only a way to assist the folks who are currently homeless, but also look at ways that we can prevent homelessness. Working families who are in danger of being homeless because, you know, if they lose a job or some hard situation happens to them. That's why I'm a proponent and I'm fighting for to assure that we have affordable housing across the street from the lake on B Street property. And when I say affordable housing, I'm talking about high quality housing for teachers, for single parents who have jobs and they don't have to spend half of their income into housing. So we're working hard to ensure that that happens and be prevented so that we can prevent families from becoming
Homelessness is a statewide issue, it's nationwide. We can all read that. The city has finally started to move in the right direction. Yes, we want to provide services. The county provides a plethora of services for the homeless. Now, I believe in facilitating them to the county, but at some point there is a group in our society that doesn't necessarily want the help, but we should help the ones that we can. And I think the county's done a good job of that with their Forward 14 program. I think we have done in the most humane to deal with this. And the component that a lot of people don't want to talk about. We'll help, we do what we can, but at some point we must enforce the laws of the city. And there are certain things, certain community standards we don't allow. That's it.
Years ago, a general plan for improvement in Marysville that concentrated on several different districts in town and what their strengths and potentials could be. Consultants as well as City Manager Walter Munchheimer. What's become of the Bounce Back Plan? Is it still relevant? Is it still being referred to?
It is still relevant. There's parts of it we can actually implement. The Veterans Art Park over on B Street, which was a project I worked on, is an example of a way to use public art to draw people into the community. The other thing is the zoning. We have to continue. That's the biggest impediment to growth in the city, is an antiquated system of codes and ordinances that we have. And we need to continue. And I've taken some of the projects myself, and we worked through some of them. We have accomplished some of the parts of that. I don't want that it would just go on the shelf, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Thank you. Actually, I have a list of things here for our first year implementation plan. It includes signage. We want to work on signage and find ways for folks to get around. Our bike and pedestrian infrastructure that we're building right now. We just completed our bike and ped master plan. We want to rebuild the 50th Street to be one of the main commercial boulevards throughout the medical arts district. And we'll take things like bike and pedestrians and will be a place where hotels and residentials and other offices now. As I mentioned, initiate a pop-up program for incubating local. Also look at retail business owners to add value to their current businesses. And then, of course, the mixed-use development that we want to build on B Street property, where I'll stop. But we've taken a very active action and not allowed B Street to be there for another 10 years. We're actually putting more into it to develop it.
This is a follow-up question based on what Chris said about zoning. If you give them about 30 seconds to answer, Jackie. Zoning, no zoning, just put anything anywhere. What's the idea there? Chris, you want to go first?
For me, it is to try and make this the most business-friendly city in the world. There are certain standards that are health and safety that must be enforced, but as far as the zoning, we need to take a look at every piece of our zoning and say, okay, how do we relax this? We need to make this a free market city and allow as many businesses as we can have in this city. Has gotten a bad rap as the city of No. We need to turn it into the city of Yes, and that is to zoning.
Ricky, would you like to take a crack at that as well?
Well, we've done that in the Arts and Medical District. We actually remove and reduce some of the zoning requirements. What we're looking at there is putting together what is called form-based codes to assist the investor, not telling them what can be placed there, but just provide them with a sense of what the aesthetics needs to look like and allow the market to decide what the best use for that property is. So we've worked on that. Now we need to work on our code-based codes.
This we'll start with Ricky. The process do enough to ensure favor those concerns.
I think the best way to do it is take a look at the actual process. It's online. It's on our Facebook. It was created by a private company, DHL, whose entire focus is taxation at the municipality level. They created the process as we hired them to put together a process that is fair for
consideration given to recreational use. How's that going to affect Marysville's operations and police enforcement? Are there going to be attendant opportunities or liabilities? How would this passage filter down?
Well, if it should pass, and I'll make it very clear, I'm not for recreational marijuana. The one biggest impact I think it would have on us is it would allow indoor grows. The state, if the proposition passes, it would allow indoor grows up to a certain amount, and we would have to either change the ordinance to reflect that, which I don't think we can. It would also challenge our police department with additional resources. You would have to look at how that affects impaired driving. Actually, talking to the cop, we discussed the different changes that may occur in driving under the influence, whether it's a drug or whether it is alcohol. And it would bear a burden on the police at some point, eventually.
That measure at the state level, exactly for the reason that Chris just stated. It would take away our local control. Right now in the city of Marysville, we disallow personal growth in the residential areas. We think that's important. We have no control over that type of growth and where it goes. So for that, I believe that it really is starting to become this huge. At the local level, we have too much control of that industry. And this
there are also less burglaries. What needs to be done about that, starting with Ricky?
Well, I can say one of the proudest things that I feel I accomplished as the mayor is to increase the number of police officers that we have on our streets now in the city of Marysville. That's something, and that's the reason why the Marysville Police Officer Association has endorsed my candidacy as the mayor for my leadership and my ability to get that done. I want to work with the school districts. I want to work with the courts. I want to be able to work with young people and give them opportunities away from kind of violent activities that are going on in that area. We need to continue with our community policing and talking to our neighbors. We can't have a police officer in the corner, but we can have neighbors that can help us out, communicate instances on times when there is vandalism. I want to strengthen that area in our community policing. I want to continue working with our school district, with the Office of Education in Yuba County, to try to figure out best ways to, one, bring young people to participate in the city and not be destructive.
Gangs and the shootings, it does give the impression that crime is on the rise. We did hire new police officers, but I think one of the biggest resources the city is now involved in is a community resources officer with Marysville Joint Unified School District. We have one of our officers in the schools on the ground, working and meeting and learning from these kids. Because when you develop a rapport with the kids in the school, they'll tell you what's going on. We can talk and we can hire all the policemen we want, which is a good thing. But until we can make some of the connections behind the scenes, that will make all the difference in stopping the violence, and especially the gang violence in this community.
Chris, why does Marysville have the position of four-year mayor? Do we need it? And also, as it's currently formed?
Yes, we currently have a four-year mayor. I will be proposing the elimination of that. I'd like to go back to a rotating mayor so that all members of the city council can work as a team and to lead the city, to be given the opportunity to lead. 4 years is a long time, and we're all still, for the role of the mayor, is someone that's always out in the community, someone who's working as much as they can. I know we both have full-time jobs, but I will be holding office hours as mayor. Something that's gone away from the previous administration was the mayor attending staff meetings, executive staff, and I would like to see the mayor go back to that as well. Kind of gives you a pulse for what's going on in the city and to be able to communicate with the city manager.
is something that the voters of Marysville decided to do. So if the voters of Marysville decide the role of the mayor census to make sure that as an individual you kind of put away some of your ideas and try to bring what the other council members are thinking, want to do. For the first time since I know, we actually are holding goal setting and sessions where we start talking about the big picture. What does the council together want to prioritize our resources on? With communication, with feedback from the public, what does the entire council wants to work on? And on the 20th, we're going to have another regular session. We have them every 6 months to talk about the next steps, what our large projects are going to be, how we're going to fix our roads, how we're going to fix our infrastructure, how we're going to build our public safety, how we're going to make our neighborhoods safer, how we're going to bring recreational department to the city of Marysville. Big things, and we're doing it together. And the job as a mayor is to bring that consensus together and be able to bring resources from the outside as well.
Thanks. 1 cent sales tax and the expected annual revenue of around $1.5 million. How important will that prove to be to Marysville? How should the money be spent now and over the next 10 years? How do you keep your faith with the voters who approved it?
Thank you. First time since I've been mayor or council member that we don't have to worry about cuts and cutting our services or cutting our number of members of our police department. You see on an annual basis just decreasing. For the first time, we actually in our police department. For the first time, we don't have to worry about a federal grant to preserve our fire department, which is our own fire department now. And for the first time, we're actually putting money away. Before that, we were taking away from our reserves. I worked really hard to get us to that point, and I'll continue working hard to making sure that the voters get what they're looking for, and that's higher levels of public services for everyone.
The 1 cent sales tax passed, and that's a good thing. We needed the money. But the one thing we have to continue to show the public is that we're actually making progress. Whether it's little baby steps or big steps for my 21-day plan check. It's time we show the voters that 1, we're not business unfriendly, and 2, this is a great place to work and live. For years, the city of Marysville, as I watch it, has this cloud. And part of the trust and the connection with the voter is to show them what we really, truly are spending their money wisely. And they expect progress. And they really do expect a lot of progress. I'm not going to say we're going to pave the roads overnight. Neither one of us can say that. But we need to show little, small, baby steps to move forward. And that's what voters expect.
I'd like to ask a follow-up on that, and very simple. Looking out 10 years from now with inflation and unknown circumstances, enough, and what are you forecasting for sales tax revenues over the next 5 to 10 years? Ricky, start with 30 seconds.
Well, I think that's a great question because we know that the sales tax is only a bridge. And we know there's going to be another recession coming up soon. It's a cyclical thing that we're going to have to deal with. How prepared we're going to be, and that's why my focus is going to be on economic development. 5th Street development across from the hospital, we just spent $250 million of private dollars to expand this hospital capacity for the region, and the Lake B Street property across the street from the lake. Those 2 things will make sure that we start expanding our base for the future, and will be also spark future jobs in the area.
The 1 cent sales tax is a stopgap measure. That's why we have to become business and investor friendly, because what we're doing is we're taking a snapshot. The sales tax measure, and I'm glad it passed, was a static analysis. We don't know what the business climate is going to be in 5 years. That's why we have to make the business climate better so we can continue to grow that sales tax.
Next question, and we'll start with Chris. What is your assessment of how safe Marysville is concerning future flooding problems?
I think they've done a great job on the levees. We have had no issues. I think that we need to continue working on the levee system through the water agency, through the Army Corps of Engineers. I think we're safe. I think the levees can always use improvement, but I feel we're safe within the levees.
Ricky?
Well, the danger is that, and I got to thank our Congressman Gary Mendy for all the work in keeping that ball rolling and assuring that we have the funding so that improvements continue. But I've been in the meetings with Union Pacific and the Corps and all the different folks who need to kind of work through and figure out assuring that things don't get stopped and delayed and assuring that things keep moving forward. So I'm going to continue working on that. Continue working with the Congressman, continue working with the Corps, and continue working with Union Pacific to assure that we continue. We have a safe levee, but we want to make sure that the improvements are completed on a timely basis.
Starting with Ricky, a group of proponents led by Charlie Matthews of the Cordua Irrigation District and including council members Whitmore and Simmons submitted a couple weeks ago an initiative that would institute a new formula for the distribution of revenues derived from surface water sales and accommodated by pumping water from the underground aquifer. The Yuba County Water Agency rejected the proposal, citing legal opinion that the proposal would not be legal. Matthews says proponents won't give up and will consider legal possibilities. What's your take on the situation?
Well, it's really unfortunate. I believe the water agency is doing a great job in administering their mission that was given by the state to protect the waterways and assuring the management of the water that they have jurisdiction over. I can't say I'm glad Charlie's here. I would love to hear from both sides exactly what they're proposing. But there's always a danger is when you start waving money around for everyone, like Christmas, and everyone's going to say, well, that looks like a really good idea. I think there's a lot more. I think the water agency is doing a good job in managing their work, and they have a great responsibility for our river.
Well, the water agency may be doing a good job managing the water. I think we should set forward this initiative so that we can give money back to not only the cities, but to the counties and to the residents. Any opportunity we can get to give back, I think we should do, and I support the water initiative.
Okay, Chris, we'll start with you on this. Speak to us about the B Street property. It was reported not too long ago that the development company was assessing the property. What's happening with that? Is there any hope for the B Street property? What's the best the city can hope for?
Short and simple, we're working on a mixed-use development, retail and housing. It's the best thing we've seen since I've been on the city council. It is finally the light coming down. If we can get enough development in there to pay the $646,000 a year payment on that, that's the best we can do. Well, that's what we can hope for. I'd like to see it grow. We need the best use of that property. There's a lot of developments going on that property. And that right there, if we can build on that, we can stop the slide of the city.
Well, the Lake District, as we call it, is going to be developed, and that B Street property is going to be a prime example of working with a developer who actively sought developers. There was interest. They have 180 days to put together a plan on how it's going to be financed, how many units will be built, what the commercial versus residential mix is going to be, what are the different financing sources are going to come from. We're looking very closely at the capital finance the last few dollars of this project, but also improve improve the entire area, and I'm including the lake, the baseball park, and the North Lake to achieve what we're calling this river district in the area. So imagine a residential with commercial, with a great baseball across the street and a great lake that is going to be the envy of the region.
Okay, this will be the final question before our closing statements.
We're starting with Ricky. Old buildings in Marysville. Sometimes they're treasures, sometimes they're liabilities, sometimes the line's pretty hard to see. What might be done to get some buildings bordering on derelicts taken care of? What needs to happen that the real historic treasures are kept in prime shape? Will something ever happen with the Marysville Hotel and the State Theater?
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that both of those buildings will be developed. I was compare the private sector as an opportunity to make, the bottom line is you have to make profit. And if you're going to take $100 million to improve that hotel, can you take that same $100 million to Sacramento Kings Arena with that type of investment? We have to look at ways that we can improve things, like across the street with the $250 million investment that happened in the hospital. How do we leverage that across the street? And how do we create a parking district that would allow more folks to enjoy that area? And I think CAP will multiply into making those investments viable for the private sector to take on and use them in a way that will benefit the entire region.
Both of the buildings are privately owned. So we have to continue to create the environment for these folks who want to invest in their building. Marysville Hotel has been asked in every election that I can remember. If the owner is given the tools and people who have invested money, and now they're paying higher property tax.
Okay, it's time for our closing statements, and we'll start with up to 90 seconds from Ricky Samayoa.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for being here, and thank you for the Chamber and the Appeal Democrat for putting this forum so that we have an opportunity to share our thoughts and our vision for the city of Marysville. I believe that I'm a blessed individual. I have a great family, and being a father is probably the best thing in my life. Being a mayor, it was exciting. I enjoyed it every second. I put a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of effort. I feel I contributed to the turnaround that the city is moving into. And I want to continue that dedication and that hard work and bringing the resources together. Just this week, we talked to the city to have them use their great recreational department in the city of Marysville. Maybe open up the aquatic center at the Marysville High School. Those little things really matter, and those conversations do really matter as we move forward into making our city strong and vibrant. And I'm committed to the city, and I'll continue contributing to the city. And so I respectfully ask for your vote on the resolution. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to the Chamber and the Appeal Democrat. I always enjoy their forums, and I have for many years. I want to be the next mayor of the city of Marysville because I think we need to change the dynamics of our city. Yes, we've done some things to make it better. Yes, we've done some, but the one thing, some of the many things we need to do as a city are to change the culture. This city has a stigma, and I don't like it. And we've all worked hard. But I want to work as hard as anyone else. I want to have office hours. I want to be obsessed with the people. We need to bridge the divide to re-energize this city. We need to connect with the citizens and with the voters. And that's what we haven't done. And I want to be the next mayor of the city of Marysville because I can take the city to the next step. I have the skill set and the ability to bring people together, and I can turn the city around. And I ask for your vote in November.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's have a big round of applause.